Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari will present the country's 2018 budget to the National Assembly at its next sitting on Tuesday, November 7. This was disclosed in the President's letter read on the floor of the Senate during plenary on Thursday. According to the letter, the President is scheduled to present the budget at a joint session by 2 p.m. This will be the first time the President will be presenting the country's budget before the last month of the year. The Federal Executive Council had on October 26 approved a draft budget for the country's 2018 fiscal year. Details of the budget were not disclosed, but the 2018 to 2020 medium-term expenditure framework submitted to the Senate suggests a record 8.6 trillion naira budget. The death toll in the cholera outbreak in Borno State is now at 61. According to the Borno State Ministry of Health, there are now about 5,281 suspected cases in 7 local government areas in the state. The ministry listed the most affected local government area as Muna, with 2,651 suspected cases. Other affected LGAs are Mafa, Dikwa, Monguno, Guzamala and Maiduguri local government areas. It also added that vaccinations will be carried out in 6 local government areas between November 11 and 15, 2017. A new report has raised alarm about the rising number of child deaths caused by pneumonia. The report by the Save Our Children organization puts Nigeria among the top 5 most affected countries. Describing the disease as the forgotten child killer, it says pneumonia is responsible for the death of more children under 5 than any other disease, and sub-Saharan Africa is making the slowest progress in reducing the fatalities. Nigeria, Congo, Ethiopia, and Angola have the world's highest number of deaths of children under 5 from pneumonia, along with India and Pakistan. Save the Children is calling for a summit of world leaders to address this problem. It also wants cheaper vaccines, greater access to drugs and life-saving oxygen for more than 160 million children around the world to be immunized against the disease. A new report by the International Press Center (IPC) says 2 Nigerian journalists have been killed by assailants in the past year. The IPC, in a statement to mark the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, also revealed that about 11 other Nigerian journalists have been attacked in the course of duty. The organization condemned the situation and urged the government to seek justice for all attacked journalists in the country through investigations and diligent prosecution of the alleged perpetrators. The other committee set up to probe allegations of misconduct and fraud against the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris on Thursday reported the police boss to the Senate over his non-appearance. Idris had on Wednesday failed to appear before the committee and had written through his lawyer telling the panel his appearance would be subjudiced as there were pending cases in court on the matter. In his response, Senate President Bukola Saraki condemned the action of the IGP, urging him to appear before the panel by next Tuesday. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has summoned Ayo Oke, former Director General of the National Intelligence Agency (NIA), over the $43.5 million discovered in an Ikoyi apartment in Lagos State. In a statement issued by EFCC spokesman Wilson Uwojuren, the commission said Folashade, wife of the former intelligence officer, had also been invited. President Muhammadu Buhari sacked Oke, citing the recommendation of the presidential panel set up to probe him after he was suspended. The EFCC had said Oke's wife bought the apartment in which the money was found and is inviting them to determine their culpability or otherwise in the matter. The trial involving a former spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, Olisa Metu, has taken another turn as its 2 key witnesses have so far failed to testify. The former PDP spokesman had requested the appearances of former President Goodluck Jonathan and former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki as key witnesses in the trial, but so far both men have refused to testify. Dasuki on his part say he has lost memory of his dealings with Metu and cannot testify, while Jonathan is asking for 1 billion naira to appear in the trial. The court have dismissed both arguments and the case will continue on Friday.
The issue of subpoenaing Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, President of Nigeria 2010 to 2015, that question of subpoenaing him to come and testify here, as far as we are concerned, is as dead as dodo. It will not happen again. It's not going to happen. Never. Read my lips. I speak like a seer. It will never happen. It will never be subpoenaed to come to this court to testify.
I made it clear to the court that Sambo Dasuki, in his own testimony, told the court that for over 2 years he's been incarcerated and that he cannot remember all he did when he was in the office, especially one that has to do with 2014, that he needs to refresh his mind, look at his documents, his records. And I don't see, and subsequently, the questions I was asking him, he kept saying that he cannot remember, he needs to refresh his mind. And then it's left for the court to say that no, a man who has been incarcerated for over 2 years has his faculties right, that he doesn't have a need to consult his papers. The prosecutor will always argue against whatever application we make. So I wasn't surprised to hear him say that.
We have been vindicated because we claimed in our affidavit that Colonel Dasuki is unable to recall events. He has to be in touch with his record. But it's like we were speaking Greek. But now he's gone into the witness box and he has confirmed our fears as expressed in the affidavit. So I think maybe next time they will take whatever we say more seriously.
I told the court we tendered just one shred of documents, which is an e-payment mandate, co-signed by the witness in the box and another officer of ONSA that effected the transfer of 400 million naira to the account of the second defendant. That is just the issue. If you give him the documents, you lead him, can you recall this document? They have not even laid the foundation, they have not even led him enough to suggest the fact that the man cannot recall what he did.
Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has approved the appointment of Folashade Adesoye as the new head of service in the state. A statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Habib Aruna, said Adesoye's appointment takes effect from November 11, a day after the acting head of service, Olabowale Ademola, retires. Adesoye, who was appointed into the Lagos State Civil Service in December as an accountant, has served in several ministries. She was elevated into the body of the permanent secretaries in 2010 and was deployed to the Civil Service Pensions Office where she served till August 2015 before she was deployed to the Office of Local Government Establishment, Training and Pension Office. Some of the retired troops from the Nigerian Federal Army during the Civil War have held a protest in Abuja to demand the payment of their entitlement and pension backlogs. The soldiers, who were in their numbers, chanted solidarity songs and displayed placards of various inscriptions suggestive of their demand. The Civil War veterans are urging the Buhari-led administration to factor them in, just as they have promised to adequately settle their Biafra counterparts.
I fought with a Buhari then as our commander. We fought in so many sectors, and we represented Nigeria in so many international games, of which we came out with silvers, bronze medals. Now, we have been struggling for this, both in court and every places, since year 2002 till today. We are neglected. It is of surprise that those people we fought have been paid. Even their police have been paid. They verified us in year 2015, of which the paper is the one I'm displaying now. Till now, we had nothing from them. We struggled, but to no avail. Today, now, majority of us that are there, that we started together, are dead now. If you look at me closely now, you will say that I am ill. Please, we are appealing greatly to our president. We honor him. We want him to remember us, we that are still alive.
2016 went, no pension. 2017 is going down, no pension. People are now seeing that verification form as if they use it to deceive us, and I believe government will not deceive us. So we are appealing to the president to pay our pension.
The drive to diversify Nigeria's economy to achieve food sufficiency and create job opportunities is on the front burner now. This is why experts in the agro-industry are strategizing on how to make cassava a major crop that can be used in different forms as industrial raw materials to produce both edible and non-edible cash products. This was the focus of a one-day investment and sensitization workshop on total cassava value chain held in Lagos by the Raw Material Research and Development Council in collaboration with Market Development Program in the Niger Delta. Cassava, which is grown in almost all parts of Nigeria, is a raw material for composite flour for noodles, pasta, biscuits, bread, and other confectionaries. Activities along the value chain of cassava is capable of creating 21,000 direct jobs and 500,000 indirect jobs for Nigerians, while investment potentials in the noodle subsector from 2017 to 2020 is projected at between 50 to 60 billion naira. Despite this, thousands of tons of cassava rot away every year in the farm with no one putting them into commercial or industrial use. This gathering is set to address that issue.
Our mandate is to ensure that there is local sourcing of raw materials. Each time you look at the bags, the quantum of importation on raw materials, you should be thinking of the quantum of jobs we are exporting to other people so that they can stay safe. And we are here being bombarded by all kinds of insecurity.
Who will stimulate the investors to come and invest in your country? It is the government. The government needs to be consistent with their policy. The government policies are not consistent. There is no bill for cassava development since 2002. We've been pushing it.
The Market Development Program in the Niger Delta, MADE, is a 4-year program sponsored by the Department of International Development, and its responsibilities is to create a workable model that will ensure a total cassava value chain from the farmer to the industries and to the end users.
The way we currently have the value chain, it's so fragmented that producers produce and they start to look for where to sell. And if they can't sell, it means definitely that next year they will reduce their production. But we want to see a model where from end to end, processors, producers and end users are working together.
When you talk about big time manufacturing, we don't have the technology. We have not developed the technology the way we would like to have it. So that is, I think that should be the starting point to industrializing cassava processing.
Stakeholders in the cassava business also expressed concerns which they believe, if properly addressed, can solve some of the problems.
Apart from looking critically into the economics of production, we should look at alternatives of conversion of cassava when there is a passive glut.
The big brother out there who are the flour millers that are supposed to promote this industry, they should do something about their system. Because I believe they are strongly doing their business in Nigeria for the farmers in America. Let's call a spade a spade. If you are because they are the owner of the companies, they are making Nigeria a dumping ground for wheat.
Nigeria is the highest grower of cassava in the world, but the least in the cassava value chain development. Experts say government political will and investment in agriculture is a major step to achieve set goals in cassava revolution.
Corruption not in my country.
Mr. Job! Mr. Job! What is it now? What is it now?
Please turn down the volume of your music. It's too loud.
And how is that your business?
It is disturbing me. I can't sleep.
And the same way you are disturbing my right to good music and where I enjoy it. Eh? What's wrong with you? Is any other person complaining?
Maybe we thought that you have lost your mind. Are you having a party?
I'm just respecting you, sir. You remember I've paid my husband too.
You will not understand why we are complaining because you do not care about other people except yourself. Look, the transformation we need in this country begins in this compound.
Yes, now.
From you, and I. This your selfishness is an offshoot of corruption. And corruption
not in my country.
Oh, you know, go to your bank. Go.
Corruption not in my country.
Glad to have you back. Following the flag-off of oil search in Nasarawa State last week, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has commenced moves to mobilize for oil exploration in the Benue State sector of the Benue Trough. The group managing director of the state oil firm, Mike N.T. Baru, disclosed this during a visit to Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom. Baru said oil was set to seismic data acquisition work to commence in the state. He added the oil search was in fulfillment of the presidential mandate of exploring for oil in the nation's inland basins, which was driven by the urgent need to increase Nigeria's oil and gas reserves. Oil prices steadied near two-year highs on Thursday as supply cuts by OPEC and other major exporters tightened the market and drained inventories. Benchmark Brent crude was down 20 cents at $60.29 a barrel, while U.S. light crude was unchanged at $54.30 a barrel. Confidence has been fueled by an effort made by OPEC and Russia to hold back about 1.8 million barrels per day in oil production to tighten markets. Ikeja Electric PLC, one of the power distribution companies in the country, has announced an interruption of power supply to some parts of Lagos from November 3 to 10th. The head corporate communications Ikeja Electric, Felix Ofulu, said the outage was part of the strategic effort to improve power supply to consumers across the network. Ofulu said in a statement that the company would carry out a complete rehabilitation of the Maryland injection substation during the period. The rehabilitation will affect power supply to Mende and Tony, Maryland, Ikeja GRA, Shonibare Estate, parts of Ojota, Ketu, Ikosi, Demorin, and environs. The Nigerian stock market closed in red on Thursday, depreciating by 0.03% to close at 36,877.15 basis points. The gainers table had equities of Flour Mill, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, Nascon Allied PLC, and United Bank of Africa, as well as that is UBA leading, while the other losers table had Nigeria Brewers, International Brewers, Unilever PLC, and PZ Cousins. The top traders were Union Diagnostics and Clinical Services PLC, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, UBA, and Fidelity Bank. A total of 318.147 million shares exchanged, a total of 3.950 billion naira in 5,472 deals. Moving on to international stories now, South Africa's scandal-prone President Jacob Zuma told lawmakers on Thursday he had received no payment from private companies or individuals during his tenure. Zuma is accused of being influenced by the wealthy Gupta family in making government appointments and awarding contracts by state-owned firms. The Gupta and Zuma family deny doing any wrong and say they are victims of a politically motivated witch hunt. Spain's state prosecutor has requested a European arrest warrant for ousted Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont and 4 others over their role in a disputed independence referendum. All 5 failed to show up at Spain's High Court on accusations of rebellion, sedition, and misuse of public funds. Spain had been gripped by a constitutional crisis since the referendum was held on October 1 in defiance of a constitutional court ruling that had declared it illegal. last week Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy imposed direct rule on Catalonia, dissolving the regional parliament and calling snap elections for December 21st. On to sports stories now. Super Eagles striker Odion Ighalo will miss the national team's upcoming game in November due to a new knee injury. The Eagles will play an international friendly against Argentina on November 14th, 3 days away after its final World Cup qualifier against Algeria. Ighalo was part of an original 25-man squad for the match, but will now join Chelsea's Victor Moses on the injury list. A replacement is not expected to be called up. It seems Nigeria may have lost another star to England after Swansea striker Tammy Abraham was called up to the Three Lions. Abraham has been included as one of 3 debutants in the England squad to play friendlies against Germany and Brazil. His call-up comes just over a month after Nigeria football chief Amaju Pinnick said the forward was close to switching allegiance to Nigeria. Real Madrid legend Cristiano Ronaldo has denied demanding a new contract at a Spanish club. Speaking after his side's 3-1 Champions League loss to Tottenham, the Portuguese insisted he is happy in Madrid. He also condemned his club's poor form, but assured the team is ready to turn things around. Ronaldo joined Real Madrid from Manchester United in 2009 in a then world record fee worth over £80 million. He is their all-time top scorer with 412 goals in 410 games and has won 3 Champions League, 2 La Liga titles and 2 Kings Cup with the European champions. Well, that's all on news now. Thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.